Well, welcome to this week's episode of TOOP TV. The first week of winter, but that's no reason to go into hibernation. There's lots happening in Adelaide this weekend and lots of open inspections right throughout the weekend. Shortly on the show, we'll be looking at executive rentals and how to maximise your return. Then on SA's finest, we'll have a magnificent palatial home in Erindale for you to have a look through and then enjoy the surrounds of Aberfoyle Park. And then stay tuned towards the end of the show to see if we answer your real estate question. Well, interesting times in the market at the moment. Pricing your property is becoming ever so much more important right at the moment. Also on today's show, we have some details about the new technologies which are helping you save energy in your home. And then inside story, we have some questions about whether it's better to buy a vacant block of land and build, or indeed knock a house over and build there.
I would build on a vacant block of land because it just seems like the cheaper and easier option.
When someone's knocked a house down and split it, they're charging a fairly high price. So quite often, if you want a couple of smaller blocks and you're able to sell one off, probably the best way to go is buy something and demolish it and split it, sell one off, and then you've got one.
I would choose to knock down that house on that block of land just so I can get the ideal location.
Well, some interesting detail there. Today's paper, page 11, we have, of course, just a little bit of detail and good news for the buyers at the moment. Interest rates on hold. Fabulous news at the moment for the buyers in the marketplace. Well, joining me now is James Pledge, Director of Knight Frank Valuation. Jamie, good to see you.
Pleasure, Tim.
Mate, some good questions for you, I hope. Can you give us a little bit of an idea on what a residential valuation is?
Sure. A valuation is really trying to imitate what happens in the marketplace.
Okay.
So the law that surrounds it is Spencer's case, which is informed buyer, informed seller, both happy to sell, not under any pressure, under any pressure to buy. They come together, and that's market value.
Okay.
A residential valuation is really is trying to duplicate that.
Yep. Looking
at sales, bringing it back to the property we're valuing, and coming up with a number at a point in time.
Okay, excellent. So we know that banks get valuations done, but give us a little bit of an idea, I guess, on who else needs a valuation and what they're for, I guess.
Sure. In South Australia, of course, most valuations are undertaken for finance purposes, to get some money from the bank. There's also separation if people are unfortunately separated, property settlement, insurance replacement is an area where people require valuations, estate planning, and perhaps for litigation.
Okay, all right. When you get a valuation done, you know, there's obviously those different reasons for having the valuation. I guess, is there a difference between you doing a valuation on a property for sale and, say, for insurance purposes?
Sure, there is a big difference. A valuation of a property, market value of a property includes the land and buildings, so you're looking at the package. Insurance replacement cost is really just looking at the improvements, what it would cost to replace those improvements with like for like, including, say, demolition costs, architects' fees, other professional fees, and perhaps a bit of escalation for the time between when the place was demolished and when it might get rebuilt.
Okay. And just explain to me, we were talking earlier about the idea that a property can sell for a particular price, and really as land value, as we were perhaps touching on before, but the valuation for the improvements still stays intact with a serious amount of that price. But you've got the alternative where someone just pays for land value.
Yeah, sure. I guess some people don't realise that their house is depreciating in terms of just the improvements, very much like your car does, but the land underneath it, you know, is hopefully going up in value.
Right.
So if something sells for just land value, people are disregarding the improvements. However, if you had to insure those improvements, there would be, you know, many hundreds of thousands of dollars to replace them with like for like.
Okay, good explanation. one that really, I guess, is of interest to me, when we sell a house, often the owners have gone to a great deal of trouble presenting their home to the intending buyers and making it look pretty and beautiful and all that sort of thing. Often the last part in the contract is the finance being approved, and naturally a valuer comes in and puts value on the property. Is it important for an owner to present their property as well to you as the valuer as they do to the buyer?
Yeah, probably two parts to that. One, a valuer's training is to look through that sort of thing.
Yep.
You know, if the kids have left the bikes in the hallways or, you know, clothes everywhere, they should be able to look through that and see the fundamentals of the property and compare it in the marketplace. However, there is a human element to it. Just as when you're buying a house, there's some emotion that comes into it. So to be sure, I think it's probably best if it's presented as best it possibly can be, and then you've covered all your bases.
Okay, well that's a good piece of advice, because I guess often the energy levels for an owner have gone by the time they've signed off on a contract. So a good piece of advice that you should make that last little bit of an effort to make sure that your purchaser gets across the line with their purchase and the finance organised there. We will move straight to an interview that Anthony has with Pete Williams, and they're discussing social networking and its place in the market.